The night sky over Damascus exploded with fire and chaos as missiles streaked overhead and buildings shook from the force of the blasts. Families huddled in fear, the terror of war once again invading their homes. Social media lit up with videos of the attack, the world watching as the city was engulfed in violence. Sirens wailed, emergency crews rushed through smoke-filled streets, and confusion reigned. International leaders issued statements, some condemning, others calling for restraint, while the people of Damascus endured another sleepless, anxious night. The attack was a stark reminder of Syria's ongoing agony, a conflict that refuses to end. Allies like Russia and Iran condemned the strikes, while Western nations pointed to the threat of Iranian-backed militias. The diplomatic tug-of-war played out on the world stage, but for Syrians, it meant little comfort. Once again, ordinary people were caught in the crossfire of a proxy war, their futures uncertain. The explosions in Damascus sent shockwaves far beyond Syria, forcing the world to confront the region's fragile peace. For those on the ground, survival was the only priority. Israeli airstrikes targeted key sites in and around Damascus. Munitions depots, command centers, and infrastructure linked to Iranian-backed militias. The strikes were part of Israel's ongoing effort to prevent Iran from entrenching itself on its northern border. Syrian air defenses responded, but several missiles hit their marks, leaving destruction in their wake. Images showed collapsed buildings and burning wreckage, the cost to civilians impossible to ignore. Israel, as usual, did not officially claim responsibility, but its message was clear: it will not tolerate Iranian military buildup in Syria. The Syrian government condemned the attacks, calling them violations of sovereignty and appealing to the UN. This cycle of strike and protest has become routine, each incident raising the risk of a wider conflict. For Syrians, it's another reminder of their vulnerability in a war shaped by foreign powers. In the aftermath, Washington issued a carefully worded statement promising specific steps to de-escalate the violence. The announcement was vague, offering hope but few details, another diplomatic gesture in a long history of unfulfilled promises. Allies welcomed the move, adversaries dismissed it, and analysts debated what it might actually mean. For Syrians, the words sounded familiar, pledges of peace that rarely changed the reality on the ground. The U.S. statement bought time for back-channel talks and consultations, but left the core issues unresolved. Deep mistrust among all parties makes any real progress difficult. The promise of specific steps is both a sign of hope and a reminder of the immense challenges ahead. The world waits to see if this time will be different. What might these specific steps look like? Experts suggest increased border surveillance, intelligence sharing, and support for local forces to disrupt weapons smuggling. Quiet diplomacy could also be at play. New military protocols, de-confliction lines with Russia, and indirect talks with Iran to prevent escalation. Some believe these measures could reduce tensions by limiting the flow of advanced weapons to Iranian proxies. Others argue they're just temporary fixes for a deeply political problem. Without real compromise, technical solutions won't end the violence. The U.S. may manage the crisis, but true resolution requires trust and a shared vision, both in short supply. For now, these steps are about crisis management, not lasting peace. The underlying conflict remains unresolved. Behind the headlines, Syrians endure daily hardship, loss, displacement, and survival in a shattered land. The latest airstrikes are just another trauma in a war that has uprooted over 12 million people and killed hundreds of thousands. Families face soaring prices, destroyed infrastructure, and a future clouded by uncertainty. Children grow up knowing only conflict, their dreams stolen by violence. The international community's promises often feel distant and disconnected from this reality. While diplomats debate, Syrians make impossible choices between food and medicine, safety and hope. The true cost of war is measured in these daily struggles, not in political statements. Healing will take decades, and peace will only come when the world puts Syrian lives at the center. For now, survival is the only certainty. The suffering continues long after the bombs stop falling. Syria stands at another crossroads. Will the latest violence lead to wider war, or open a path to peace? The future depends on decisions made far from Damascus, by powers with competing interests. If specific steps fail, the cycle of violence will grind on, with Syrians paying the price. But there is a narrow hope: real diplomacy, hard compromises, and a new political settlement. It would require security guarantees, foreign troop withdrawals, and a voice for Syrians in their own future. The odds are long, but the fear of regional war could drive a fresh push for peace. For now, the world watches and waits, hoping for a breakthrough. The next chapter for Syria remains unwritten.